You've probably believed this your whole life without ever questioning it. Humans are smart. Animals aren't. It sounds obvious. It's on posters. It's in textbooks. It's the quiet assumption behind almost every nature documentary you've ever watched. But it's wrong. A crow can solve an 8-step puzzle to get a piece of food. An octopus can unscrew a jar from the inside. An elephant can recognize a human skull as something worth stopping for, years after a death. Animals are not the dumb ones in this story. So if every animal is smart in its own way, why did one species end up building rockets while its closest relatives are still figuring out how to open a jar? The real answer has nothing to do with humans being gifted, and everything to do with something far stranger. Every animal is intelligent. Intelligence is everywhere. So the real question was never whether humans got intelligence and other animals didn't. The real question is why human intelligence went somewhere none of theirs did. The answer is not that humans were chosen. It's that humans were cornered. Start with the size of the problem. A chimpanzee brain runs at around 400 grams. A human brain runs at close to 1,400. That's not a small upgrade. That's more than triple the tissue, and brain tissue is brutally expensive. It burns roughly 20% of your entire body's energy while making up only 2% of your body's weight. Evolution does not hand out expensive upgrades for free. Something had to be paying for this. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar thinks he found the bill. His research points to something called the social brain hypothesis, the idea that brains didn't grow to solve puzzles about the physical world. They grew to solve puzzles about each other, tracking who is trustworthy, remembering who owes who a favor, predicting who might lie to your face tomorrow. Dunbar found a pattern across primates. The bigger and more tangled the social group, the bigger the brain needed to run it. Humans didn't just live in groups. Early humans lived in groups that kept growing, layering alliances on top of alliances, gossip on top of gossip. Keeping track of 30 relationships is hard. Keeping track of 150, which Dunbar's number suggests is roughly our natural ceiling, is a full-time cognitive job. Nothing else in nature has to run that kind of math just to get through the day. But social pressure alone doesn't explain everything. There's a second force, and it's less about people and more about geography. East Africa, where humans were taking shape, was not a stable place to live. The climate swung wildly. Forests turned to grassland and back again over spans of time, too short for a body to adapt through slow physical change. A gorilla can specialize. It can grow the exact gut, the exact teeth, the exact habits needed for one environment, and stay there. Early humans didn't get that luxury. The ground kept shifting under them. And when the environment refuses to hold still, evolution stops rewarding specialists. It starts rewarding flexibility. It starts rewarding whichever brain can improvise a new solution when the old one stops working. That's not a gift. That's a species getting hit by circumstance until only the adaptable ones were left standing. So picture the two forces stacking on top of each other. Complex social politics on one side, an unstable, shape-shifting environment on the other, both demanding the same currency. More processing power, applied faster, applied more flexibly. That's an enormous ask for a body to fund. Which raises an obvious question. How does a species pay an energy bill that big without starving? This is where the story gets stranger and where fire enters the picture. Primatologist Richard Wrangham argues that cooking changed everything, not metaphorically, but literally, biologically. Raw food takes enormous effort to digest. Chewing it, breaking it down, extracting calories from it, costs energy and costs time, sometimes hours a day. Cooking does that work before the food ever reaches your mouth. Heat breaks down fibers and proteins in advance, which means the body spends far less energy digesting and has far more energy left over. Wrangham's research suggests that once cooking entered the picture, evolution had a surplus to spend, and the organ that got first pick of that surplus was the brain. Here's where it turns into something closer to a feedback loop than a single event. More brain power led to better tools. Better tools led to more efficient hunting and food gathering. More efficient food gathering led to more surplus energy. More surplus energy funded even more brain growth. Around and around, each turn of the loop, pushing intelligence a little further than survival alone would ever have required. No other species stumbled into a loop like that. Most animals reached a level of intelligence that solved their immediate problems and stopped there because stopping there worked. Humans never got the chance to stop. The loop kept demanding more. There's one more piece, and it might be the strangest one. It has less to do with the brain of any single human and everything to do with what happens between humans. Anthropologist Michael Tomasello has spent decades studying something he calls the cultural ratchet. Most animals reset their knowledge with every generation. A young chimpanzee has to relearn, largely from scratch, how to survive. But humans discovered something almost no other species uses at scale: teaching. Not just imitation, but genuine, deliberate transfer of knowledge from one mind to another. That single trick, meant a discovery made by one person in one lifetime, didn't disappear when that person died. It got passed forward, then improved, then passed forward again, improved again. Knowledge stopped resetting and started stacking, generation after generation, like a ratchet that only turns one direction. A single human brain, isolated from birth with no culture and no teaching, would not build a rocket. It took thousands of years of that ratchet clicking forward, generations stacking on generation, to get there. So in a real sense, your intelligence right now isn't only sitting in your skull. It's the accumulated output of 100,000 years of other minds passing knowledge to you, before you even knew you were receiving it. So what actually happened? Put all four pieces next to each other. A social world so tangled it demanded constant tracking of other minds. An environment so unstable it punished anything except flexibility. A cooking trick that funded the whole expensive project with surplus energy. And a teaching instinct that let every gain get banked instead of lost. None of those four pieces alone would have done this. Together, they built something that had never existed before. A species whose intelligence never got to stop climbing. Was it worth it? Look at what came out the other side. A species that can wonder in real time why it turned out this way. A species that built machines to look at its own brain from the outside. A species that can sit alone in a quiet room and ask a question no other animal has ever had the hardware to even consider asking. So the next time you hear humans are smart, animals aren't, don't repeat it. Correct it. 4 separate evolutionary pressures stacked on top of each other over hundreds of thousands of years. None of them planned, none of them a gift, all of them simply survival, demanding more and more from the same overworked organ until it became the strangest thing biology has ever produced. You were never the only smart one. You were just the most pushed one. And somehow, that push is the reason you're the one who gets to ask why. Subscribe and like so I can buy more catnip and treats. Also, watch some more of my videos. Catch you later.